You're locked in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio. It's the show that helps you build the business you need so you can live the life you want. I am Ralph Brogden. We talk a lot on the show about personal transformation. That's what people are looking for. That's what people are willing to pay you for as a Rebelpreneur, as a coach, a consultant. You need to structure your life and your business around solving problems and delivering results, particularly in the area of personal and professional transformation. But we have to go through that on our own and dial that in for ourselves before we can be an example and a mentor and a coach and a guide to anyone else. Today's guest is someone who has their own story of personal and professional transformation, going from standing in a food line at the Salvation Army to Ph.D. I'm so pleased to welcome Carolyn Colleen to the show today. She is a fierce mother of three, an author, an international speaker, life and business strategist, and founder of Fierce Academy. Carolyn's life purpose is to provide hope and inspire people to move from fear into focus. Carolyn, welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio.
Hey, Ralph. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You have, as I said, a real powerful personal story of transformation. Tell us a little bit about your background. What's your story?
Well, Ralph, like you shared, I'm a fierce mother of three, and I'm proud to say that, and I like to call myself a fierce mom. And the reason I share that is because that's truly the intention at the end of every day. Is really, in the morning I wake up with an intention of, how can I be the best parent, and all the things that come along with that. And at the end of the day, I do a reassessment. So did I live intentionally today, and where can I improve, and where can I, try better the next day. And a bit of that is grounded through what you shared in my intro is, yes, I've gone from Salvation Army to Ph.D., and I've learned a few things in between. Now, growing up, I suffered from several different tragedies, which include sexual abuse, physical and emotional abuse, onto a marriage that my first marriage was very abusive. And then escaping that, in which to intentionally live my life to be the best parent that I can be, which through that, learning how to live a fulfilled life. And so that's why I come in, and the first thing that I do when people ask me, what do you do, is that I am a proud mother.
I love that. What a powerful testimony that is. And that's what I call the hero's journey, starting from nothing, overcoming tremendous obstacles to get to a place where you have resolved and transformed your life. And now you're able to deliver that transformation and that encouragement and motivation to other people. Your website says, ignite your inner ferocity, create the life you desire. And you are the founder of Fierce Academy. It's an interesting word, fierce, but that is the cornerstone around which you have built your brand and your business and your personal philosophy. What does that mean to you, and how does being fierce fuel you?
So fierce is it's not only an acronym, which stands for, from my book, which stands for focused breath. For F, I is identify one goal, one action. E stands for examining barriers, those things that might be holding you back. R is for reflect and visualize your truths, because we each have our own truths. C is for courage, and then E is for engaging and taking action. So not only is it an acronym for a step-by-step process and getting more of what you want and less of what you don't, but it's also a concept. Embodying your ferocity. How are you taking what may have happened to you and creating a way for it to happen for you? And that comes out in what another method that I teach from my book and then also in my academy is taking those things that hold you back, taking those things that might be getting in the way of living a fierce and fulfilled life by sometimes it's anxiety, sometimes it's overwhelm, sometimes it's procrastination, or sometimes it's holding on to the stories that we've told ourselves about certain things that may have happened that are affecting our present state and our future. And how do we take a hold of those things, recognize and acknowledge those things, and then create a way in which to use those things that are holding us back, using them as fuel in which to push us into a positive action in a positive direction. And so I help many people with this tool that was created out of survival, however, now helps thousands of people today to reset, gain clarity, focus, and take fierce action in a positive direction. Now, people that may have experienced some of the things that I have experienced in my short lifetime may be succumb to debilitation and be paralyzed around some of those occurrences. And don't get me wrong, it's very difficult to process through a lot of the things that were not my fault. However, through creating this method that can be practiced in just 5 minutes, to build resilience and challenge the way that you're using some of those maybe negative things in a positive way, can help reset and guide yourself in a new direction in order to get more of what you want, more of what you deserve out of your life.
That sounds really powerful, and especially the idea that you can make these transformations happen in as little as 5 minutes at the time. That's really compelling, and I want to get your step-by-step process for doing that. But first, I want to ask you a question. With the people that you're working with, and you are a speaker, you're an author, you're also a coach, what is the biggest problem you see with helping the people that you work with to overcome their past and to become fierce and fulfilled and make that positive transformation? What is the biggest obstacle that's holding people back?
One of the biggest obstacles is really celebrating and recognizing what you have done. So what happens, especially when we are, what happened for me even, is that you push forward. You push forward, you set a goal, and you go, in order to try and get to that next something. And that's part of the fierce piece, is that pushing forward and getting after what your goal is. However, missing that piece of fulfillment, being present and appreciating. So the challenge is really appreciating where you've been. And that's part of this, the tool that I teach is being able to build that resilience, recognizing what you have done, because it's not always about creating something new or trying to learn something new. It's also about remembering what is true, being true to yourself and actually taking that credit, because a lot of times we forget to celebrate what we have done, what we have overcome, be it whichever measure, big or small, you choose. We are resilient beings, and we've accomplished so many things, but we may not take credit for it, and that's where some of the lack of fulfillment might come in, or loss or sense of purpose might happen, is we can get stuck in the past and not actually be thankful and grateful for what we have done.
That's so true. And as a goal-oriented person myself, and I think a lot of our listeners are probably goal-oriented, in the sense that they are rebelpreneurs, business owners. They're creating transformation in other people's lives, and they're having to be transformed in their own lives. I think we can become, and see if you agree, that we can become so goal-oriented that we do very often forget how far we've come. We don't celebrate our successes. We're not thankful for the success and the relationships and the things that we have going on in our life that are working right. We can either become too focused on the things that we don't have, or we can become too focused on things that we're trying to achieve, the goal that's out there, the big vision that we're trying to create, the big business that we're trying to build, and really lose touch with the present moment and what's working in our life now and what's going great right now.
Yes, I completely agree. And it was, for many years, I was in that space of just the freight train of goal setting. Fast forward, goal after goal after goal. Got that goal, okay, on to the next. That kind of, that ferocity piece of it. But there's also another piece. There's the piece of being able to not only be in that fierce mode of goal setting and goal achieving, but also achieving your goals while being in flow, while being present, while celebrating. So mastering your resilience for a fierce and fulfilled life while in flow. So we can have both things. We can achieve our bigger goals, but then also be able to be in flow, in presence, being aligned with our families, and being aligned with our friends, and being aligned with our purpose.
What you said is really, really important. And it brings to mind an illustration. I think we've all seen people running a race. And I guess we can correlate that to what you're saying in this way. Some people run the race, and when they get to the end of it, they just kind of collapse across the finish line. It took everything they had to cross to complete the race, and they just fall over the end line, and they are worn out, completely spent at the end of that. And then other people, they run the race, but it seems they're working hard, but they seem to be enjoying the process a lot more. And when they cross the finish line, their arms are lifted over their head in victory. They're smiling. They're happy that it's over with. They're happy that they achieved it, and they've still got some life and some joy left over. I think that is so important. The difference there, I think, is what you just said. To happily achieve as opposed to achieving to be happy. It's going after our goals while we are in the flow instead of the desperate attempt to try and to do too much too soon, and then we just burn ourselves and everyone else out. I think that's a really valuable insight for business owners as well as for anyone in life.
Yes, because we were taught in our culture of being taught that success, you have to live in that force. In order to be successful, you have to live in force. And I've learned over the years that through all these different experiences, we can actually do it both. We can actually have a healthier and more effective life by not being completely in that force mode, but getting into that flow mode. Because what we've been taught is in success, you have to be worn out, you have to be tired, and then you got to get all these things, get the boat, get the house, get get. But we can get lost in that, just like you said. And so being able to do both, achieve our successes, and then also being present and being healthy and effective.
Very powerful. The name of your book is Fierce. Transform your life in the face of adversity 5 minutes at a time. I think that's such a compelling title and proposition. Could you share with us, if not the whole thing, maybe some steps to get people moving in the right direction as you teach them how to transform their life 5 minutes at a time?
Yes, Ralph, I can, and it's actually the fierce concept. So this whole human experience that we on our journey called life, I call it the fierce experience. So we're mastering resilience for a fierce and fulfilled life, and you can do it 5 minutes at a time. And actually, we've all done it before. So I can share 3 steps that can be used immediately by your listeners that they can practice 5 minutes at a time in which to build resilience and get them closer to where they're headed and this reset and stay in flow. So what it is the first step is breathing. So there's a B, so it's BFF, your new best friend, and you'll thank me after. So
I love that. That's great.
And it's very simple. So the first step is B for breathe. Now, this is ancient wisdom combined by modern science. So we may have had a relative who had said to us as we were growing up and we're upset about something, breathe, take a deep breath. They were actually right, because a study that came out from Stanford in 2017 shows that there are 175 brain cells that are stalking our breath. Now, if we were to tense up, those brain cells will then tense our body and react according to us holding our breath and closing our mind to being able to take information in. Now, if we take a deep breath, and I teach in for 7, out for 11, just because for no special reason other than 7-11, it's easy to remember.
That is easy, yeah.
It is easy. Breathing in for 7 and out for 11. B for breathe. And once you take that deep breath, those 175 brain cells are then telling your body to relax. It's also opening your mind to be able to think clearly on the goal at hand. Now, Harvard mirrors that and shares that when you're deep breathing, it's bringing down your blood pressure and helping you to relax. There's many studies around it. But the first step is B for breathe. In for 7, out for 11. The second step is focusing on one goal. Now, we as entrepreneurs and going through life, big goal setters, we have many, many, many goals. Now, with this BFF method is just one goal. Pick one thing that you need to accomplish, maybe in the next 5 minutes, maybe for the day. Now, how some entrepreneurs use this is one goal. Maybe it's a goal for the day that you need to have a minimum of 10 client calls. Now, it's 2:00 in the afternoon, and you still, your morning didn't go great, and you need, 8 more calls, and it's 2:00. Okay, maybe feeling a little bit of pressure. All right, let's do a reset. And what is that one goal? That one thing that you need to do, that goal of 10 calls for the day, you have 8 more left. You need to pick up that phone and start making calls. So that's your goal. So that's F for focusing on one goal. The last piece is fierce action. Now, fierce action is different than just simply action, because fierce action is tapping into that sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight, and taking whatever might be holding you back, either that flight mechanism, or maybe it is the fighting portion when you're under stress, when you're under anxiety, overwhelm, procrastination, any of those emotions. And you're going to take those emotions and you're going to use them as fuel to launch you in a positive direction. So that means taking that, 8 more calls, it's 2:00. I don't want to do that. I'm not feeling like it. I'm frustrated. How am I going to do this? Into, all right, I'm frustrated. I feel like procrastinating or not making these calls. However, I'm going to use that emotion and I'm going to use it to push me in a positive direction, meaning I'm going to pick up that phone and start making calls, and I'm going to practice that for the next 5 minutes. Now, once I get through that 5 minutes, that 5 minutes may turn soon quickly into 15 or 30 minutes or a whole day. And the thing is, and the trick with that, Ralph, is that we can do anything we don't want to do for 5 minutes. Anything we don't really feel like doing or might be painful, we can do it for 5 minutes. And so soon enough, you can stack that, and those 5 minutes turn to 10, turn to 15 to get into a whole day. And so that is the ideology of Fierce, the BFF, your new best friend forever. And I'll share with you how another person shared with me how they use it. So for example, I have one of my audience members came up to me and said, you know what, Carolyn, I use this method in which to combat my social anxiety. Now, it's a social anxiety femalepreneur. She needs to be able to connect with clients at an event, at a large social event with a lot of people. Yet, she suffers from social anxiety. So she took this tool and she said, you know what? I'm going to breathe. I'm going to remember the goal that I need to introduce myself and talk about my brand to 3 people. And my action is that I'm going to fake it until I make it for 5 minutes. I can get through 5 minutes. I can do this.
Yeah.
Well, soon enough, it turned into 30 minutes, and she was able to connect with 5 new clients. And just the success, she completely forgot about social anxiety. And so this is something that's very simple that can be used in many, many different ways. Because I didn't invent breathing. I didn't invent goal setting or action taking. However, used in a proper order can move mountains. And so this has been very successful for many people in many different ways, because we need to be able to build that resilience and recognizing what we've already done. Now, we've all used this method before. It's just recognizing that we've done it. So, for example, if you think about when you decided to become an entrepreneur, maybe leave your corporate or day job and decide to take that leap into entrepreneurialism, you've done this. You had to take a moment of clarity, a deep breath. You had to identify the goal of moving into entrepreneurialism. And then you had to take fierce action. You had to move aside those fears. You had to take away and try to jump through some of those hurdles of anxiety, fear, people telling you couldn't, and then the emotion that comes along with that, and using that as fuel to push you in that direction of becoming an entrepreneur. We've also used this, for example, when you think about even going back further, when you decided to maybe move out of your home, your parents' home and into your first apartment. You had to think, all right, a moment of clarity. You had to identify the goal, and then you had to take action. And even earlier, you've used this when you learned how to ride a bike. You looked at that bike, you got a moment of clarity, you identified the goal, and you took action. So this isn't truly inventing something new, it's remembering something true. So we've all done it.
I love the way you put that.
Yes.
That's excellent, the way you put that. And, some may say, well, this is common sense, but just because it's common sense doesn't mean it's common practice. So I would say that the measure, the efficacy of this is not in whether or not you know it or have heard it, but whether or not you practice it on a consistent basis. I love BFF. I love breathing, focus on one goal at a time, take fierce action. That is simple, that's actionable. The question is, will we do it? Will we put these things into practice? I really like focusing on one goal. We are in a multitasking society, and we've talked about this on the program before, the importance of focusing on one goal at the time. And if you're saying, well, I've got all kinds of goals in many different areas, the point is to focus on at least one thing at the time, or one goal per day, one big thing that you've got to get done to move forward. And it's not that you don't work on anything else, but by focusing on one goal at the time, you are going to make consistent progress towards the important things that you want to get done, instead of the most important things coming in last behind all of the urgent but not important things. So it's really structuring our lives in a way that makes sense to us, putting first things first. I really love the way you bring your perspective to things, Carolyn, and I love that BFF approach. I think that's wonderful. That's excellent. What are you working on right now that's got you really excited that you'd like to share with our listeners?
What I'm working on right now that I'm very excited about is the Fierce Academy and helping women, corporate entrepreneurs and women who are looking to get into entrepreneurialism or just have a side gig, get closer to that goal. So working in that space has been very fulfilling.
Excellent. So if our listeners are interested in this, they want to find out more about your books, your coaching, your academy, how can they connect with you and find out more?
Yes. So I'm Carolyn Colleen on Instagram, on Facebook, and carolyncolleen.com. And for your listeners, I'll send you the link for getting the free guide to BFS, how to use it, the steps, and examples.
Oh, I love that. If you'll send that to me, we will get that posted on the Rebelpreneur website as well, and we'll make that available to our listeners. Perfect. Carolyn, this is really inspirational to hear about your story, and I know that we didn't even dig into everything that's going on in your story, but you certainly have exemplified the things that you teach. You're the author of the book that tells the whole story of your past and the things that you are moving into now. Fierce, transform your life in the face of adversity 5 minutes at a time. This has really been wonderful. Carolyn, any final words of wisdom that you would like to leave our listeners with?
I just love to say that, yes, we can all live a fierce and fulfilled life, and what happened to us doesn't necessarily determine our future.
Amen to that. I've been speaking with Carolyn Colleen. She is a fierce mother of 3, author, international speaker, life and business strategist, and founder of Fierce Academy. Her life purpose is to provide hope and inspire people to move from fear into focus. You can find out more at carolyncolleen.com. Carolyn, thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate you being on Rebelpreneur Radio today.
Thank you for having me. It was an honor.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at rebelpreneur.com.